Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, and we're coming to you from our studios at the Capital Region International Airport. We're going to spend a little time right now with Melanie Foose. She's the supervisor of EGLE, which is the Great Lakes Management Unit, and Sam Noffke, who's an aquatic biologist specialist. And I would warn you, no big words, okay? This is a little intimidating having all these brains on. But let's get to the crux of it. The Michigan Department of Environmental, Great Lakes, and Energy, the EPA, community partners recently announced $10 million towards a fund to continue cleaning up the Detroit River. Walk us through that. Give us a little history of the river, what's been done so far, and where we're going.
So the Detroit River has always been central to Michigan's economy in its past, commerce, industry, transportation, but also recreation, tourism, community, but it has a long history of pollution. And so that's what this work is all about, is cleaning up that pollution. There's already been so much work done. So we've been doing a lot of habitat work in the Detroit River over the last over 15 years. It brings the people back to the river. It's reconnecting people to the river. It's also benefiting fish and wildlife for the river. So with all this work, actually habitat restoration under the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, we've been doing a bunch of projects on Belle Isle, down in the lower river and around the islands, Stony Island, Celeron Island. The latest project was on Sugar Island. So that's a bunch of habitat stuff. Yeah. In the meantime, we've been doing sediment stuff as well. And this continues momentum that we've been working on in the sediment world. And Sam's best to talk about all of the stuff we've been working on in sediment over the last 10 years, 10, 15 years to lead us up to where we are right now. So
Sam. That's quite a segue. Sam, can you tell us about sediment?
Yeah. So over the last decade, well, really since 2013, we've been working on really characterizing the contamination within the sediment within the Detroit River AOC, and really trying to determine where those contaminated sediments are that were left by those legacy in the industries, whether it would be auto manufacturing or gas coalification, steel production, that really kind of made, Detroit, the arsenal of democracy. So, currently we're just finishing up some remedial investigations and really getting ready to move on towards feasibility study.
Well, and I remember when Lake Erie was a big problem and there was a lot of time and energy put into Lake Erie. And of course, that's on the end of the chain from the Detroit River, right? So of the 10 million, 6.5 million from the EPA, 3.5 million from the state of Michigan. What is that funding going to be used for?
Yeah, so like I had just mentioned, the majority of that funding will go towards supporting a feasibility and design work within the Harbortown area and Harbortown upstream, which is what we're considering around the Connor Creek area. And this is to address, those contaminated sediment areas along the shoreline, and really to develop cleanup goals and to figure out how we want to approach that cleanup, and then the design part is really kind of get into, once we have a chosen alternative, really try to figure out exactly how we want to clean that areas up.
Melanie, projects like this, they really demand a lot of collaboration. So you've got local, state, and federal. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Detroit River is an area of concern. And so there were 43 areas of concern throughout the entire Great Lakes region. In areas of concern, we work very, very closely with the public. And I should also say, whenever I say we in the areas of concern program, I'm talking about EGLE, EPA, local partners, nonprofits, citizens, all of those are the we. So we work with, for this project and for everything else that we're doing in the Detroit River, there's a public advisory council. We work with the nonprofit Friends of the Detroit River. They're leading a lot of this work to help us sort of propel forward in sediment work. And then, of course, EPA funding and also all of their expertise that goes into all of the things that we're doing, not just the sediment stuff, but all of the habitat stuff I mentioned too. All of that stuff we're working on together to continue what we've been doing, carry it forward. We've got great momentum. So all of us working together, yeah.
Well, and this, I always think of this as painting a bridge. As soon as you're done on one end, you go back and start again, Talk a little bit, Sam, about the continuation of this work into the future.
This work is at its core, it's really, about the investment of people in the Detroit area. And, it's about protecting, public health and really creating a healthier community, and ensuring that for, future generations. So, everyone can, really enjoy that, the cleaner, safer, and the accessibility of the Detroit River. I mean, anyone that, looks out there at any given day can see, anglers, taking advantage of the Detroit River. And, that's just kind of part of what we're trying to do is, clean up those sediments to, ensure that, those fish and the concentrations of contaminants within the fish are safe for, current and future generations, really.
Well, and again, ongoing. So I presume, we got 15 seconds. Is there another project for the river in the future?
Yeah, so there's a couple sediment remediation projects right now that are currently either will be underway this fall. That's the McGuagan Creek sediment remediation project, and then there's the Upper Trenton Channel Legacy Act project, which is still in design. But those are the two that right now that are kind of upcoming in the near future. But we're continuing to work with the sediment remediation collaborative, and we still have more work to do, for feasibility and remedial design for the other locations throughout the Detroit River.
Super stuff. Keep up the good work. Melanie Foose, Supervisor of EGLE's Great Lakes Management Unit, and Sam Noffke, Aquatic Biology Specialist with EGLE. Thanks so much for your time and what you're doing for the Detroit River.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
You're watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman.